Beruchim haboim. Welcome everyone. We're about to begin Be'ezras Hashem together on Daf Kuf Lamed Zayin Amud Aleph. 5 lines from the top at the new Mishnah. We learned until now that when a child is born on Shabbos, thereby the 8th day is on Shabbos. It's Mila Bizman and is Doiches HaShabbos. What happens, however, when a person gives a bris milah to a child on Shabbos when it's not Bizmano? Says the Mishnah, Mishahayu lo shnei tinoikos. When there are 2 different children, Echad limol achar HaShabbos ve'echad lamul b'Shabbos. One child was born on Yom Rishon, and therefore his 8th day would be the subsequent Sunday. A second child was born on Shabbos, whereby his 8th day will then be on the subsequent Shabbos. V'shochach umal es shel echad b'Shabbos achar HaShabbos b'Shabbos, and he inadvertently gives a bris milah to the child that was born on Sunday on the subsequent Shabbos, which means that it's prior to the 8th day. It's on his 7th day. Says the Mishnah Chayiv, according to everybody, he would be Chayiv because he then did not perform a mitzvah of milah, but rather he did a chabura, which is a tolda, a tilas neshama, a tolda of meleches shoichet. The Mishnah continues and says, Echad lamul be'erev Shabbos, ve'echad lamul b'Shabbos. Here we have a different scenario. 2 children, 2 babies, one that was born on erev Shabbos, whereby his 8th day will be the subsequent Friday, where a second child who was born on Shabbos, his 8th day is then the subsequent Shabbos. Says the Mishnah, V'shochach umal eshel erev Shabbos b'Shabbos. He inadvertently then made a bris milah on the one that was born on erev Shabbos. On Shabbos, that means that he did not, for whatever reason, give a bris milah to that child on erev Shabbos. And now he then gave the bris milah to that child on Shabbos on his 9th day, which was not milah bizmano. There's a machlokes. Rabbi Eliezer mechayiv chatos. Rabbi Eliezer says that in such a scenario, although he was somebody who was tah b'mitzvah ve'oses ha-mitzvah, nonetheless, still he's going to be chayiv chatos because this was the 9th day of the child's birth, and therefore it was milah shelo bizmano. It's not doiches HaShabbos. Rabbi Yeshua potter. Rabbi Yeshua says, however, since he was tah b'mitzvah ve'osa mitzvah, then here Rabbi Yeshua says that he will be potter from chatos because, as the Gemara will teach us, that the limud that we know for a korban chatos has to be doime to avodah zara, which is the classical case where a person does so b'meizid, he's over avodah zara, b'meizid is chayiv kores, b'shoigeg is chayiv chatos. And over here, Rabbi Yeshua says, but over here he was somebody who was toya b'mitzvah ve'oses ha-mitzvah, which is different than that paradigm, in that case that we use to learn out from avodah zara. Says the Gemara, Rav Huna masni chayiv. Rav Huna, he taught our Mishnah, just like our Mishnah teaches, that in the case where one child was born on Shabbos while the other child was born after Shabbos, and he was mal, the child who was born after Shabbos on his 7th day, there the Mishnah says chayiv according to everybody. That's exactly how Rav Huna explains the teaching of our Mishnah. Rav Yehuda masni poter. However, Rav Yehuda, he taught the Mishnah differently, and he taught that in a case where, in that case that we just described, that will be a machlokes. Only a case where child was born on erev Shabbos and while the other one was born on Shabbos, then everybody would agree that would be poter. Now the Gemara explains the 2 different shitas. Rav Huna masni chayiv. Rav Huna is masni chayiv, just like our Mishnah. He teaches us is chayiv. The Tanya, Omar Rabbi Shimon Elozar, lo nechleku Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Yoshua, al misha hayu lo beis tinoikos, echad lamul b'Shabbos ve'echad lamul achar HaShabbos, v'shochach umal eshel achar HaShabbos, b'Shabbos shu chayiv. Nobody argues in the case where one child was born after Shabbos while the other one was born on Shabbos, and he inadvertently is mal the one that was born after Shabbos on Shabbos. Let's say he was born on Yom Rishon, on the 7th day, which is the subsequent Shabbos, he's mal him. Everybody agrees that he would be chayiv. He didn't do a bris milah. V'alma nechleku, what are they arguing about? Al mi shahayu lo beis tinoikos. Echad lamul be'erev Shabbos ve'echad lamul be'Shabbos. When two children were born, one was born on Erev Shabbos while the other one was born on Shabbos. V'shochach u'mal es shel Erev Shabbos be'Shabbos. And then he is mal, the one was born on Erev Shabbos on Friday, on that subsequent Shabbos, 9 days later. Rabbi Eliezer mechayev chatos, Rabbi Yeshua poiter. As we explained, that Rabbi Eliezer says, even though it's true that he was tal b'mitzvah ve'osa mitzvah, he did a mitzvah bris milah, but since it was the 9th day and was not doiche Shabbos, he's going to be chayiv a korban chatos. Whereas Rabbi Yeshua says, since he was tal b'mitzvah and he was also mitzvah, he will then be potter from chatos. V'shneim lo lamdua ella me avodas kochavim. They both learn out from avodas kochavim their position of whether one is asa mitzvah, is tal b'mitzvah, asa mitzvah is chayiv or potter. As follows: Rabbi Eliezer savar ki avodas kochavim. It's like avodas kochavim. Ma avodas kochavim omer rachmana loy savid. V'chisa avid mechayiv hochanami loshna. Just like by avodas kochavim, which again, when one does oived avodas kochavim, is oived avodas zara b'meizid is chayiv krisus, he's chayiv kares. B'shoigeg, he's chayiv a korban chatos. So there, the Torah says, don't do avodas zara, and if he did do, then if he did it b'meizid kares b'shoigeg, he's going to be chayiv chatos. So too over here. If he then was mal this child on the 9th day, so he was told not to mal him on the 9th day, it's not doiches HaShabbos, and he did so, he's going to be held accountable for a korban chatos. Rabbi Yoshua Hasam, the loy mitzvah hacha mitzvah. Rabbi Yoshua makes a distinction. He says, when it comes to avodah zarah, it's not a mitzvah. And therefore, that's why he's going to be chayiv chatos. But over here, since the child was given a bris milah on the 9th day, which is a valid bris milah, only it was done on Shabbos, since he was ta b'mitzvah v'asa mitzvah, he's going to be potter from chatos. Because it's dissimilar to avodah zarah. There is no mitzvah being performed. That's the way Rav Huna explains, and he says that's exactly how our Mishnah in front of us also teaches. Rav Yehuda masni potter. Rav Yehuda, on the other hand, he teaches differently. He teaches that potter, that everybody agrees potter in the case when one child was born on Erev Shabbos and one child was born on Shabbos, and the bris milah was given to the one on Erev Shabbos on Shabbos. Then he says everybody would agree potter. When is there a machlokes in the scenario when one child was born on Shabbos while the other one was born on after Shabbos? The one who was born after Shabbos was given the bris milah 9 days later on Shabbos. As follows: the Tanya, Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Meir, lo nechleku Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Yoshua. Al mishahayu lo beis tinoikos. They're not arguing when there's two children. Echad lamul be'erev Shabbos, echad lamul be'Shabbos, where one was born on Friday, whereas the other was born the day after on Shabbos. V'shochach v'mal es shel erev Shabbos be'Shabbos shehu potter. And he inadvertently was mal, the one that was born on erev Shabbos, on Shabbos. Here, everybody would agree, according to this version of Rav Yehuda, everybody would agree that he would be potter, since indeed here it is the 9th day, and it was a viable bris milah. Only it's true it was done on Shabbos. Since over here he was ta b'mitzvah, v'asa mitzvah, even Rabbi Eliezer would agree that he would be indeed potter because he did the mitzvah. Al ma nechleku, what is the machlokes? Al mi shahayu lo beis tinoikos, when there are two children, one is born on after Shabbos while the other is born on Shabbos. Echad lamul beis tinoikos, echad lamul achar Shabbos, ve'echad lamul b'Shabbos. V'shochach u'mal es shel achar Shabbos b'Shabbos. He inadvertently gave the bris milah to the one that was born after Shabbos on Shabbos, which is only 7 days later. Rabbi Eliezer mechayev chatos, Rabbi Yeshua poter. Rabbi Eliezer says chayev chatos because after the end of the day, he gave a bris milah to somebody who was not even a bar chiyuv. He was only on the 7th day. So therefore he was oiver chabola, which is a tolda, a netilas neshama, a tolda of hashoichet on Shabbos. Whereas Rabbi Yeshua says poter, since Rabbi Yeshua says he was somebody who was torud b'mitzvah, so it's true he did not perform the mitzvah, that itself is a patur, as follows. Ushneim lo lamdua ela me'avodas kachavim. They both learned out from the example of avodas kachavim. Rabbi Eliezer saw ki avodas kachavim. In which way does he learn out from avodas kachavim? As follows. Ma avodas kachavim om rachmon lo savid v'chi avin mechayiv. Just like the Torah says by avodah zar not to do avodah zar, if he does so b'shogeg, he's going to be held chayiv, accountable for a korban chatos. So too over here, he's told not to give a bris milah prematurely, and he does so on Shabbos. He's going to be held accountable for chabola on Shabbos. Hochanami lo shno. Rabbi Yoshua Hasso makes a distinction by avodah zara lo torid b'mitzvah. Hocha torid b'mitzvah. In the case of avodah zara, he's not being torid b'mitzvah. He goes ahead and is oiver by doing avodah zara. B'shoigeg, he's chayev chatas. But over here, although it's true he prematurely gave a bris milah on Shabbos, but he was Torah b'mitzvah. In others, there was another child here that he mistakenly did not give the bris milah to bismana, and instead gave the bris milah to the other one, the one that was born on Yom Rishon, so it's only the 7th day. But since he was Torah b'mitzvah, it's true he did not perform the mitzvah, it itself is dissimilar to the paradigm that we learn out from of avodas kachavim, and therefore he's going to be potter according to Rabbi Yehoshua. Tani Rabbi Chia, there's a third version to how we learn what we're the machlokes in Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yehoshua. Oimer Hariel Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir said, another version of Rabbi Meir, Lo nechleku Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Yehoshua, al misha hayu loy beis tinoikos. They're not arguing in a case where there's two tinoikos. Echad lamu be'erev Shabbos, ve'echad lamu be'Shabbos, where one was born on Friday, whereas the other one was born on Shabbos. V'shochach u'maleh shel erev Shabbos b'Shabbos shu chayiv. That instead of maling the one that was born on Shabbos, that should be Mila Bizmana, he inadvertently then was mal the one that was born on Erev Shabbos. So it comes out to be 9 days later, he gave a bris milah to this child. Here, according to this version, everybody will agree that this is chayiv. We have to explain this. Al ma'nechleku, what is the machlokes in Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yehoshua? Shehoyu lo beis tinoikos. Echad lamul achar haShabbos ve'echad lamul b'Shabbos, where two children were born. One was born after Shabbos, while the other one was born on Shabbos. V'shochach u'mal shel achar haShabbos b'Shabbos, and he mistakenly gave a bris milah to the one that was born after Shabbos 7 days later on Shabbos. Rabbi Eliezer mechayev chatos. Rabbi Yeshua poiter. Rabbi Eliezer understandably says he's going to be chayev chatos because it's premature. He gave a bris milah on the 7th day, and therefore it's a classical case of being mechabel. He's chayev a korban chatas for that. Rabbi Yeshua poiter, but Rabbi Yeshua surprisingly says over here he's potter. That even though it's a 7th day, nonetheless he's potter. Ask the Gemara, Hashto Rabbi Yeshua seifa de la ka'avid mitzvah poiter. Here he didn't even do a mitzvah. It was the 7th day. It was before there was even a bar chiyuv. So he gave a bris milah to a child who was born 7 days earlier on the 7th day, which was Shabbos, and still Rabbi Yeshua says he's potter. Reisha de ka'avid mitzvah mechayev. In the Reisha, where it was the 9th day, and he gives a bris milah on Shabbos, granted it was lo bizmano, but Rabbi Yeshua is going to say over here he's going to be chayev. Answers the Gemara to explain Omar the Bei Rabbi Yonai. Reisha kegoin shekodam umal shel Shabbos be'erev Shabbos the lo nitna Shabbos lidochos. The case over here in the Reisha is speaking about when he inadvertently gave, he was makdim, and he gave a bris milah on Erev Shabbos to the child that was born on Shabbos. So now we're left with the child that was born on Erev Shabbos, and then he goes out and gives a bris milah to that child on Shabbos. But now there's no such chiyuv that the Torah should enable a person to then give a bris milah to, because the child that was supposed to give the bris milah to on Shabbos was already given a bris milah before on Erev Shabbos. So therefore, there's no child that we should say that the Torah was nidche Shabbos lidachos, because there's no valid bar chiyuva here. Whereas the seifa nitne Shabbos lidachos. Whereas the case of the seifa, in that seifa where one was born after Shabbos, while the other one was born on Shabbos, granted he gave the child that was born after Shabbos on Shabbos, but there was still a second child here. That means that he was then involved with a mitzvah performance, only he made a mistake and he gave the milah to the one that was born on Sunday, which was indeed his seventh day. So here indeed, we're going to say that it's different. Over here, we're going to say that he's going to be chayiv. Omar le Rav Ashi. Rav Ashi says, L'Rav Kahana, Reisha nami nitne Shabbos lidochos legabi tinoches da alma. Rav Ashi says to Rav Kahana, but the Reisha is also talking about a case, right, where other children, granted not this child, but other children, there would be a chiyuv. So therefore, if he's Torah b'mitzvah, there is such a concept that the child, there are other children who are then bar hachid, that were born on Shabbos, that would be chayiv a bris milah on Shabbos. So therefore, when he's Torah b'mitzvah also. So granted, there's no other child in front of him that's not, but he's still Torah b'mitzvah, which makes it l'chara dissimilar to the case of avodah zarah, and therefore he should be potter. Answers the Gemara, no, lahai gavra mia lo is yahiv. This child, according to this person, for this child, this person does not have somebody who was given to him to then make a mistake and say that he's Torah b'mitzvah. So therefore, in this scenario, we're going to say that he's going to be held chayiv when he's Torah b'mitzvah and he doesn't perform the mitzvah. The Gemara now brings the following Mishnah in regards to the various times that a person can go ahead and give bris milah. Says the Mishnah, Katan nimo l'shmoina, l'tisha, la'asara, u'lachadesar, u'l'shnei loy pachois v'lo yoser. A child can be given a bris milah on the 8th day, the 9th day, the 10th day, the 11th day, and even the 12th day. If he's a healthy child, then it's not going to be earlier than the 8th day, and it will not be later than the 12th day. HaKetzad explains the Mishnah. Kidarkoi lishmona. A healthy child, then he will have his bris milah 8 days later. On the 8th day, that will be Kedarka, the 8th day. Noilad lebein hashmoshois nimo letisha. If he was born bein hashmoshois, which is Safek Yom Safek Laila. Therefore, let's say he was born on Sunday evening, and it's not clear because he was born on bein hashmoshois if he was born on Sunday, or did we say he was born on Monday? So if he was born on Sunday, then we can say that this is the 8th day. But maybe he was born on the next day, which was Monday, the 9th day. So therefore, misafek, we have to wait till the next day, the 9th day, to give the bris milah. Ben hashmoshel erev Shabbos nimo la'asara. If it was ben hashmoshel on Leil Shabbos, so then we have the scenario where the 8th day was Friday. Now we don't know if the ben hashmoshel, since it's Safek Yom Safek Laila, was shaykh to the day before Friday as the 8th day, or given shaykhis to the 9th day, the next day, which is Shabbos. Now, since we don't know it's a suffix, we'd have to, normally we said wait till the 9th day, but the 9th day is Shabbos and it's not Mila Bizmana because it's a suffix. So over here we'd have to wait one day later to Yom Rishon, which would be the 10th day. Yom Tif la'acha ha-Shabbos nimo la'achadasar. If you have the same scenario, but you have now Yom Tif on Yom Rishon, so then we can't give the bris milah, we said, not on Shabbos, because Maybe it's not, because then it's not Mila Bismana. Maybe it's the 9th day. And therefore, we can't give it also on, then we'd have to wait till then, Rishon, but we can't give it on Rishon because that is Yom Tif. Because it's not Doiche Yom Tif, it's not Mila Bismana, it's not the 8th day. So therefore, we'd have to wait till the day afterwards, Yom Sheni, which would be the 11th day. Shnei Yom Mishal Rosh Hashanah, Nimul L'Shnei Masar. If you have 2 days of Rosh Hashanah, so then you'd have to then wait an additional day, because Sunday and Monday would be Rosh Hashanah following Shabbos. You can't give the Bris Milah not on Shabbos, because that's the 9th day, not Sunday, which is going to be the 10th day, not Monday, which would be the 2nd day of Rosh Hashanah, the 11th day. You'd have to wait until the 12th day, that subsequent Tuesday. Katan ha'choil. Until now, we're talking about a child who is healthy. It can't be earlier than the 8th day, it can't be later than 12th day. But what about a sick child, where the whole body is sick? So katan ha'choil ein mo'halino so aji yavri. So a child who's sick, so you have to wait till he is yavri, until he becomes healthy. Says the Gemara, Amar Shmuel, chalatzatu chamo. If when the heat, meaning the fever, goes away, it leaves the child, you give him 7 days from the time that he becomes healthy, since his whole body was sick. So therefore you have to wait an entire 7 days till he is healthy to then give the bris milah. Iboilu, the Gemara asks, these 7 days, how do we then calculate the 7 days? Do we have to then calculate them to be 7 24-hour periods? Or do we say, no, it's the 7th day, even from the very beginning of the day? Toshma, Nitani, Luda taught, Yom Havra Osoi, Ki Yom Hivaldoi. The day that becomes healthy is like the day that the child is born. My love, my Yom Hivaldoi, Loi Ba'ina Me'es Le'es. Af Yom Havra Osoi, Lo Ba'ina Me'es Le'es. Just like when the child is born, we don't say they have to wait exactly 24 hours until the 8th day to give the child his bris milah. We say whenever that 8th day comes, then even mixas yoim kekuloim, we give him the bris milah on the 8th day. So too over here, when the child becomes healthy, we just count 7 days and then give the bris milah. Gemara says, Loi, odif yom havrosa mi yom hivaldoi. Greater is the day when a child is healthy than when he is born, in the sense that you have to be more stringent. When a child is born, we don't wait ace le'ace. We don't go from 24 hours to 24 hours. But when a child was sick and his whole body was ailing, he was sick and he had to then become healthy, then we do count 7 days me'ace le'ace. And that's lahalacha. Indeed, when a child was sick, then we wait 7 full days, 24-hour periods, till he then becomes then healthy on that 7th day to then give a bris milah then to the child.